Hey guys, welcome to another week. We are up to 7.1.8 now. We only have a few more weeks, one of which is going to be a makeup week for you guys, and I will put more of that into an email coming to you guys soon. But this week is a shortened week. We had off yesterday, Monday, for Memorial Day. So for this week, I decided instead of doing preview problems, I took those off. So you have 1 day for a video, 2 days for your 7.1.8 assignment, and 1 day just to do 30 minutes on that iReady program. Okay, so hopefully this is an easier week for you. I made it nice and short. Hopefully it's fairly simple for you. I'm going to be going through some example problems like I do each week in this video. And then, of course, if you have any questions or anything, please do not hesitate to email me or send me a message on Schoology, and I'll help you out the best that I can. So we are continuing on with our work of percentages. So for our first problem this week, it has to do with simple interest. Now, we did do some simple interest work back when we were in the classroom. And remember, simple interest is when you borrow money from someone like a bank or something else, and you have to pay them back plus extra. So interest is that extra amount. So typically that is calculated in a percent. So it says the party rental requires a deposit of $550. We need a loan to cover that cost and can get it with a payback interest of 5% each week. So not only would we have to pay back the principal, which is $550, we would also owe an additional 5% each week. And what we're working with is actually called simple interest. So that 5% is only going off of the initial amount, that principal amount, which is $550. So it doesn't recalculate each week. Whatever that 5% is on week one, it continues with that same amount as it goes forward. So the first question asks us, how much money will we owe in interest each week? So the way we do this is we figure out what is 5% of 550. So we write that out, 5% of 550. And we've learned the last couple of weeks that we can't use 5%. We need to change that to a scale factor, a multiplier. So we have the option of changing it to a fraction, which is 5 out of 100, or we can change it to what I prefer to work with, which are decimals, and 5% ends up looking like this, which is 0.05. Okay? Anytime we see that word of, that means multiplication, so we're multiplying times our amount, which is 550. So in this particular problem, I'm doing this right here. I'm doing 0.05 times 550, and when I multiply that out, I get 27.5, which equals $27.50. So we owe back the $550 plus an additional $27.50 each week. That's our interest. This is our interest. Okay, so how much will we owe after each of these amounts? Well, after the first week, of course, we do owe that $550 back, and we're assuming at this point we haven't been able to pay any of it back, okay? So right now, we'd owe $550. Let me make that a little bigger. We owe $550, plus it's been 1 week, so we have 1 week of $27.50. And if I add that together, I get 550 plus 27.50 is $577.50. So that's how much we owe back after 1 week. All right, what about 3 weeks? So of course, again, we owe back our principal, which is the amount we needed to borrow, plus 1 week of interest, 2 weeks of interest, saying the word 3 and doing that at the same time, 3 weeks of interest. Okay, So what I'm noticing here is a pattern, and I can come up with an equation to make this a little bit easier, because as we get down to the next problem where you see we have 8 weeks, I don't want to write 27.5 8 times. There's no need for that. What we're really doing is we're taking our principal amount and we are adding our interest times the number of weeks, which is our x. So we have an equation for this one. Now in this one, our weeks is 3. So we would have 500 plus 27.5 times 3 equals, and of course I'm going to do my multiplication first. So I'm going to do 27.50 times 3 plus 550. And I owe now $632.50. So then I take that same equation and I move it down here for this one, make it a little bit quicker. 500, oh, you know what? And I changed the number. That was my fault. Changed from 550 to 500, and I'm sure if we were in the classroom, someone would have pointed that out to me right away. So let me change my answer there so that doesn't get us mixed up. Times 3 plus 550. So that was actually $632.50. Okay. All right. So again, I have 550 as my principal plus my interest times however many weeks it is. In this case, we're at 8 weeks. I do my multiplication before my addition. So 27.50 times 8 plus 550. And now we're up to $770. Okay, so you can see that it starts going up, but it's going up at a constant rate. Okay, it's going up $27.50 each week. So it does benefit us to be able to pay this back quicker. All right, so let's take a look at the next part. So the people who gave us the loan decided that they actually only need $22 paid back to them in interest each week. And we found out in the last problem that we are paying $27.50 if we go with the 5% interest rate that they told us. So obviously that 5% is too high. So we need to figure out what percent we actually need to pay them, since they're telling us we only need to pay $22 each week and not $27.50. So the way we do this is we set it up exactly the way we did before. So in the one before, where we did 0.05 times 550 to get our amount, that was our previous one. We had our scale factor, we had our principal, and we had our interest. Okay? But that's our old one. So let's take a look at our new one. Our new one, we don't know what our scale factor is. So that's our x. It's our scale factor. Times 550. Our principal hasn't changed. That's still how much money we need to borrow. Okay? Equals $22, which is what they're saying the interest actually needs to be. So if I go to solve this, I have 550x on this side, 22 on this side, and then I just solve it. So I divide both sides by 550, divide by 550, and I find out that x equals 0.04. Okay, so 0.04 is my scale factor, but if I want to know what percent, I need to change my decimal to a percent. So I take it, I move my decimal point over twice, and I realize that I need to pay 4% interest to meet their $22 cost. Okay, so you're basically doing the same setup for the equation, but you're solving for a different part. Instead of solving for this down here, you're solving for what your scale factor is and then changing it to a percent. All right, so we looked at that and we said, okay, this is the loan we can get. Well, let's see if that's our best deal possible. So we have some other options, okay? So these ones won't necessarily give us the 550 that we need, but in the long run, maybe we can come up with the extra money. Maybe they're loaning us extra money. We want to come up with the best interest rate, because if we're getting charged more interest each week, then eventually we're going to owe more money. So right here we have the bank will loan us $500 with a 1.5% interest weekly, and that's important. The PTA will loan $600 with 6% interest monthly, which is equivalent to 4 weeks in this case. The Booster Club will loan $550 plus charge $30 monthly. So this one doesn't tell us the actual interest rate. It doesn't tell us the percent. It's telling us you're going to owe an extra $30 each month. Okay, so which loan will grow most quickly? So let's figure out what the loan is for each of them. For this first one up here with the bank, we need to figure out what is 1.5% of 500, because that's how much they're giving us. So I change my percent to a decimal. This is 0.015 of is multiplication. 500 is how much they're going to give us. That's our principal amount. I multiply that out. Times 500. And I get 7.5, so $7.50. But remember, that's weekly. Okay? So, for the bank, I have $7.50 per week. All the other ones are per month. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply that times 4. And I am going to be paying $30 per month if I get from the bank. Okay, but they're not quite giving me my $550. So they're shorting me a little bit, but I'm going to be paying $30 a month. Now this next one, what is 6% of 600? Okay, so again, I change this to a decimal, so 0.06 times 600 equals $36, and that is per month. Okay, so they're giving us a little extra money, but then we're going to owe that $600 back plus $36 a month. So that one's definitely not going to be our best one, because we're going to end up owing more after each week. Okay, and then the last one, that Booster Club, it actually tells us, okay, all right, we're going to give you the $550 you need, and we're going to charge you plus $30 a month. Okay? Now, technically, this loan is going to be the least that we have to pay back, but the problem is they're not quite giving us enough money for what we need. So in this case, it looks like our Booster Club loan, which is going to give us our $550, and it's going up $30 a month, which is the same as up here, is going to be our best bet, because we're going to get the money we need, and it has the tied with the lowest interest rate. So what percent interest is the Booster Club charging? So that's the same as the last problem we did. Okay, we have a principal of 550 times the scale factor. We don't know what that is. That's our interest rate, equals our interest of $30, which they said, and I want to figure out what is my scale factor. So I divide both sides by 550 is what they're giving us. X equals 30 divided by 550, and it is 0.0545, and that just keeps going, which means I move this over twice. And I have an interest rate of 5.45 repeated %. Okay? So you're essentially only doing 2 different kinds of problems in this week's lesson. You're going to be doing the ones like this, where you need to figure out what the interest amount is based on the percent they give you. And you're going to have to figure out what is the percent based on the money amount that they give you. Okay.